Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a Pokemon that is now Great League eligible for the very first time, Basileon. Niantic just released a research that is available only for the next 4 days. If you win 2 raid battles total within the next 4 days, you get an encounter with a Great League eligible Basileon. Basileon is a Fire and Ghost type Pokemon with the moveset of Incinerate, Mystical Fire, and Shadow Ball. It is a massive glass cannon, meaning that it's not going to be a great Pokemon for gaining Elo, but should be fun to test nevertheless. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at some Great League Remix Cup practice battles with Basileon. Hopping to the first match, leading Empoleon into Mantine. This is honestly a terrific lead, even though Mantine does play this matchup way closer than it ever should. Taking a look at my backline is pretty soft to Mantine, so I am definitely very happy to catch this Pokemon on the lead. Farming up quite a bit of energy, opponent is going to wait the turn to make sure that I do not catch, and they're going to connect with the Water Pulse. I'm going to fire off the Drill Peck. Drill Peck will not KO here, but it will get them quite low. The Drill Peck will connect. In comes Magnezone. I'm going to bank some energy, send in Basileon, and look at the damage. Oh my goodness. That thing almost got two-shot by Incinerates. In comes the Mantine. They can't throw their move because they know they would lose charge attack priority. Basileon has a truly absurd attack stat. They're going to be able to pick up the knockout with the Aerial Ace. I can send in the Gligar. Opponent unable to make the Water Pulse. And in the back, it's a Shadow Steelix. And this game is over. I'm going to be firing off the Dig. Opponent probably has to try and call the bait here. The Dig is going to connect, and that's going to seal it. I'm just going to send in the Empoleon because this will force them to throw energy. At this point, the opponent knows it's over, so they will actually go for a little bit of an undercharge there on the Crunch for the heck of it, because we're both very aware at this point that the game has concluded. They can fire off another Crunch. I still don't have to shield because it will not KO, and I'm able to take the Game 1 win. We got a terrible lead in Game 2, leading Empoleon into the Shadow Poliwrath. The Gligar save switch. Opponent tries to catch an Aerial Ace onto Magnezone, and Gligar up this much energy is very, very good for me here. Even better now that I got a shield with an Aerial Ace bait. Opponent does have quite a bit of energy here. They're 1 over the Wild Charge. I shield, and it does end up being the Wild Charge. Here, I overfarm quite significantly. I need to make sure that I'm at least within 1 wing attack of the Aerial Ace because the Poliwrath switched out on 5. It's 7 to the first, so if they set in the Poliwrath, I can outpace, and thanks to this massive energy advantage, force a potential shield from my opponent because that would just do way too much damage. They're going to be able to pick up the knockout with the Icy Wind, but you know what? I'm just saving the shield for Basileon. Look at those resisted Incinerates, by the way. And speaking of, this is a Ghost type. Those are double resisted counters doing that much damage. Basileon gets the farm down, but is debuffed in the back. Oh no, trainer. It's Registeel. I'm going for the Mystical Fire. That certainly does not look debuffed. Mystical Fire, not a very high damage move, but it sure looks it from Basileon. 2 debuffed Mystical Fires, easily able to pick up the KO. Decent lead in the next match, Empoleon versus Dragonite. Opponent switching out, and they send out Greedent. I'm going to stay in with Empoleon. Gligar does do quite well here, but I can't help but thinking that Gligar will be good in the back. So I decide to stay in with Empoleon. They are on Trailblaze. That's a problem. I bank the move. I send in the Gligar, and I'm thinking, well, I can tank a Body Slam. Hopefully, I can get the Wing Attack farm down here, but as you're going to see, the Wing Attacks don't quite do enough to KO, so they make a second boosted Body Slam. I don't want to give the Dragonite farm, so I'm intentionally going to let them do 3 extra Mud Shots, and then I can pick up the KO. Opponent should be sending back in the Dragonite. It is the Dragonite, so I will fire off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace does a ton of damage here. It should be able to force a shield. They apparently made a very nice catch onto Registeel. The game did not actually visually show the catch, nor say that Registeel had entered the field. But I have Basileon. Basileon does quite well here. I am going to be committing the shield as they go for the Zap Cannon, and they do get the debuff. That's a little unfortunate. I'm going to farm up to 100 energy and go for the Mystical Fire, and this does appear that it is a CMP tie. Opponent is going to commit the shield. I'm committing the final shield back. They do go for the Zap Cannon. In comes Dragonite, and here I think I make a bit of a misplay. They probably would have shielded anyway, so I think I could have gone for a Mystical Fire, but I'm going to fire off the Drill Peck from Empoleon. Drill Peck is going to get the opponent low. The opponent is going to make it to the last second move. They need to superpower to KO here. They will superpower. Blacephalon gets the farm down, surviving on 1 HP, but the Reggie's still alive in the back and lock-ons me down. If I had Mystical Fired that Dragonite, I could have survived with more HP on the Blacephalon and potentially taken the win. But hindsight was 2020. I thought that I could win the game just by going for nukes only, and in doing so, it actually ends up costing me the match. In the next match, pretty decent lead Empoleon versus Goodra. The Poliwrath save switch is answered with the Gligar. I go down a shield, but I exit with quite a lot of energy. Back in comes the Goodra. I'm not really expecting my opponent to commit a shield here, but at the very least, I just want to get some damage. They actually end up shielding, which was a surprise to me, but honestly, that's terrific. Getting the shield back is amazing. Because I can bring in the Empoleon, Empoleon's still not in a range where Thunder Punch will threaten whatsoever, because I am running the non-Shadow Empoleon. I'm going to be firing off the Drill Peck. Looks like the opponent may have CMP tied me there. The Drill Peck is going to get them low, and I can take a Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch, not something that I do have to worry about. They will go for the Thunder Punch in the back. Oh no, traitor! It's Registeel, and look at the Incinerates here. Oh my goodness. Zap Cannon does get the debuff. I think with the debuff, I just cannot get the full Incinerate farm down there. But this thing just outputs truly absurd amounts of damage. It has no HP, no defense. Even after a Mystical Fire debuff, look at the Dragon Breath. This thing just gets torn to shreds by any fast move pressure whatsoever. But this damage output is just truly hilarious. Down goes Goodra, and I am able to take the win. Tough lead in the next match, Empoleon versus Defense Deoxys. I do have two better responses in the back, but I decide that I want to stay in here and get some damage on this before I switch, just because if I don't get some damage on it, then it could prove to be a nuisance later on. So I land the Hydro, send in the Gligar, opponent chips with a Psycho Boost, and then brings out Goodra. Honestly, baiting this out is amazing. Blacephalon, we saw, even last match, those were debuffed Dragon Breaths, and they still just shredded through Blacephalon. So I do not want my Blacephalon to end up anywhere near a Goodra. I'm going to send in Empoleon, get a full Steel Wing farm down, and this is terrific. They have a Psycho Boost loaded on Deoxys, but I'm not in the Psycho Boost range yet. So if they bring in the Deoxys, I can actually force a shield with the Empoleon. And then we just have to hope that Blacephalon can do well in the back. Deoxys going to be firing off the Psycho Boost. I'm just going to let this through. I'm just going to save 2 shields for the Blacephalon in the back. No, it's Umbreon, and look at the snarl damage. Oh my goodness. I thought it was throwing on good timing. Turns out I do end up giving them a snarl for free. I'm not sure if that was just the airport Wi-Fi or just me not seeing it correctly, because I thought it was good timing, but then they ended up sneaking. But snarl has never done so much damage as right here. Here I was hoping that I could incinerate down, because if I incinerate down and lead with 2 Mystical Fires, I win the game. But unfortunately, I can't incinerate down. I'm forced to throw my energy, and my opponent is able to take the win. We see what should be a worst case scenario Pokemon in the next match, as I lead Empoleon versus Quagsire. In theory, Quagsire should beat the whole team. However, in this meta, when it's running Aqua Tail and Stone Edge, Empoleon can actually do quite well here. Empoleon is able to win the zeros. Opponent is going to bank an Aqua Tail for later, save switch into Goodra, and that's very okay with me, as I need Empoleon to be my main Goodra counter. The Drill Peck is no shielded. Opponent is going to let me get to another Drill Peck, and unless they want this energy just to get KO'd, they're going to have to commit the shield. I'm going to send in Gligar. I know I can survive an Aqua Tail, so I can tank 1, shield 1, and then look to farm down. They go for a Thunder Punch. This tells me they have Draco. Even if they made it to the Draco here, honestly, I wasn't counting. I'm more than happy just to let this go. It only ends up being a Thunder Punch, so I exit up 2 shields and with a ton of energy, and I should just be in a completely 1 position. I shield up the Aqua Tail, I go for the dig, they catch onto Whimsicott. Oh my goodness. Nice catch by them. Fortunately for me, I'm still just in a 1 position. My thoughts here are actually that I don't need the Gligar energy. I can force them to throw, because if I double up, I'm just in a winning position, and then I can just send in Blacephalon. They can make a move on Quag, so I'm just not going to shield. Opponent goes for the Resisted Seed Bomb. That still does like 2/3 of my HP. This Pokemon is so hilarious in the Gray League. It can just output truly mind-boggling amounts of damage, but the bulk is just hilariously bad. Shadow Ball easily knocks out that Quagsire, and we are able to take the win. Tough lead in the next match, and it's a familiar lead at that Empoleon versus the Defense Deoxys. This time, I'm going to switch up the strategy, and I go immediately into Gligar. Opponent is going to land the Psycho Boost and send in Mandibuzz, and I'm really happy to bait out the Mandibuzz, because Mandibuzz, of course, would be a massive, massive problem for Blacephalon. We saw what happened against the previous Deoxys lead when they had the Umbreon in the back. Those Snarls did more damage than any Snarl I have ever seen ever. They're going to go for the Dark Pulse. That is going to set up a nice Snarl farm down for them, which is unfortunate. I'm going to send in the Empoleon, knowing that I can survive a Dark Pulse. A second Dark Pulse would be problematic, however, because Empoleon not known for its bulk in the Great League. Honestly, the fact that the bulkiest Pokemon on the team is Gligar is a little bit concerning, but hey, fair enough. I'm going to send in Blacephalon. They're going to stay in, go for the Psycho Boost. I'm going to commit the shield. I have to hope that they're weak to Blacephalon in the back. Oh, not this Pokemon again. It's Umbreon in the back. Deoxys Umbreon Core. Oh, man. If the Deoxys was in the back, I would be in a much better spot. But unfortunately, the Deoxys was on the lead both times. And yeah, I'm just completely lost. There, I have to throw an alignment, because if I throw the Incinerate, I just get outpaced, so I will go for the Mystical Fire. They can throw one in the move very comfortably, and I just have no win con with the Empoleon. They are heavily debuffed, which means that even at this low of HP, I should be able to survive a move, but they're just way too healthy on this Umbreon. The Foul Play is going to get me low, the Switch and the Snipe with the Deoxys, and unfortunately, the game does end in a loss. We see a familiar foe in the next match, Empoleon versus the Shadow Quagsire. Quagsire builds up to the Mud Bomb. I do not buy it whatsoever, and they're going to switch out and send in Mandibuzz. They did get the one-turn switch there, so I can throw 3 into the move, and it is still on good timing. Mandibuzz farming up, trying to go for good timing, but I'm actually able to make it to a second Hydro Cannon. This forces the shield, I have to switch out, and I send in the Gligar. I do want to preserve the Empoleon for later. The Dark Pulse is going to connect. The awkward thing is they're not in a range where Aerial Ace will KO, so throwing an Aerial Ace here doesn't really do anything for me yet. I shield as I think they're unlikely to bait, and now I will go for the Aerial Ace. The question will be, after this, can they make it to another Dark Pulse? The Aerial Ace will connect. They don't commit to the Dark Pulse, so they were a little worried that this next Wing Attack would knock them out. They just go for the Aerial Ace. In comes the Quagsire, and I'm firing off the Dig. Dig is non-lethal from here, but it does very important damage. The Dig will connect, getting Quagsire deep into the red. I don't really think that I can shield the Gligar. I need the shield for Blacephalon. We've seen how glassy it is. I send in the Empoleon. Empoleon getting outpaced as well. Oh my. These mud shots, when I send in Blacephalon, are going to hurt so badly. Look at the mud shots on Blacephalon. Blacephalon able to get the farm down, up one Incinerate. What can we do in the back? It's Gligar. Blacephalon farming up. Opponent thought I would Mystical Fire instantly. They go for the Aerial Ace. An entire Incinerate for free. There's the catch attempt, and the catch is unsuccessful. I have a Mystical Fire plus a Shadow Ball, so I should be in a winning position. Mystical Fire gets the shield. Here, I accidentally overtap an extra Incinerate. Thank goodness I do barely live the wing attacks. We see the nice roll of the head there from Blacephalon as he knocks out the Gligar, and that will be game over. Great lead in the next match, leading Empoleon versus Tapu Fini. Opponent save switches to Sableye. I don't have an amazing response to a Sableye switch in, so I will fire off the Hydro Cannon, and now I can send in Gligar. Interesting decision by my opponent here. They don't end up going for the return, they end up going for the foul play. I will get the full farm down, but honestly, I think that was a very intentional decision by them, because they want farm with the Tapu Fini. I'll have to see how much damage the Water Guns do here. In comes the Tapu. I think that I can get the Dig plus the Aerial Ace off. I could have potentially gone for double Aerial Ace, but I think I can get both off. But the Water Gun KOs, and I should have gone double Aerial Ace. So that's definitely my fault. I thought I could live that Water Gun, but I did not. Send in the Empoleon in the back. Oh, this is really bad. My Empoleon is amazing into their team, but they're triple strong against Blacephalon. So I am in a tremendously bad position. Shadow Claws will just absolutely shred through Blacephalon. We saw how much damage Snarl did, so I cannot let this anywhere near the Blacephalon. They are very low on the Tapu Fini. I am going to fire off the Drill Peck. Opponent is going to commit the shield. Opponent looks for the farm down, but Empoleon says no. 1 HP, making the Drill Peck, and now I just need to farm down with Blacephalon, but look at the water guns go, and they farm me down from full. I lose the game. This is the glassiest Pokemon I've ever seen. What the heck just happened? Alright, into the final match, Empoleon versus Empoleon. We're both non-shadow, which means that as long as you have a high rank, you are able to survive 2 Hydro Cannons here. My opponent is 1461 CP, so it looks like they might not be able to survive the second Hydro. It is charge attack priority. I know that I can survive this, because again, I have a very high ranked Empoleon, so I can survive it, and it looks like I should be able to win the Zero Shield. So the Hydro Cannon will be shielded. I aggressive switch to Blacephalon because I can snipe them down before they make the move. In comes Goodra. I'm up a shield, so I do not want to bait. So I will fire off the Shadow Ball. The Shadow Ball does get shielded. That would have done so much damage. Goodra gets a full farm down. Goodra is down 2 shields. But here's the thing. They have a ton of energy. They're going to switch out, send in Gallade. Gallade is going to be able to fire off the Leaf Blade. I will commit the shield, and I need to overfarm, so I will farm up to the Aerial Ace plus the Dig. Aerial Ace will be able to knock out Gallade, and then I have the Dig available for this Goodra. But Goodra does have some pretty decent bulk to it, so Goodra is actually able to survive the Dig, and unfortunately, I'm pretty close to Aqua Tail range, so this game will come right down to the wire. There's another Aqua Tail. Is this going to be enough to KO? I do have a pretty high ranked Shadow Gligar. Shadow Gligar is able to hang on. Now it's my turn to get the 1 HP survive. We get our redemption and the win with Blacephalon. All in all, Blacephalon is a truly hilarious meme Pokemon, and I'm happy that it is finally eligible in Great League for the very first time. Its attack stat is basically double that of its HP or defense, so this thing is all attack, just 0 bulk to speak of whatsoever. It's definitely not going to have Great League meta relevance just due to the extreme warped nature of its stats, but it's a really fun Pokemon, and I think it's definitely one that is worth getting. And getting 2 raids done over the course of 4 days, the nice thing is it doesn't have to be legendary raids. So even if you're only able to just do a 1-star raid twice, that does still count for it, which is nice. It's a nice collector's item to have, because who knows what future metas may arise, and we may yet see a need for a Great League Blacephalon in the future. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.